Hey guys, welcome to my channel, welcome to the stream. Welcome to I think it's part 3 now, working on our F-16 Aggressor. So we'll load the intro and we'll get right into it. Okay guys, like I said, we're working on the F-16 Aggressor. This is a 1/48 scale airplane by Tamiya. Right there, that guy there. We got our, I guess you could say it's the rear part of the intake, and our front landing gear bay. Got that assembled yesterday, and did our little instrument cluster on that. Yeah, and if you guys saw my last video and you waited till the very end, you'll see I put a still picture up of that, of the completed unit, so you can see it a lot better because the camera doesn't really do it justice. And you can see how I applied the 3D pieces just a little bit crooked, which, looking at it with the naked eye, yeah, it is a little crooked, just a tiny bit, but the way I see it, once I've got the actual kind of the cowl sitting over top of it, probably not really going to notice it. I did want to finish the assembly on that part today, so that's where we're going to start. And then I want to put the pilot seat together, so I want to get that done today also. And then we will continue on with the actual proper order of assembling the parts on this little bird. Alrighty, so let's change the camera and we'll take a look at it. Okay, so this is what we did yesterday, right? We put this together and it's right here, bing. Okay, and then we have our other piece here. Now I did go and put this L10 on. I put that on here. That's on there now, so I just need to touch up the paint on this now before I actually put it in. I guess I could technically put it in here. This is supposed to, looks like it's going to slide in like that. Maybe with my 3D pieces on there, it won't slide in there anymore. There's a little notch, little thing right there and there on each side to go into these little slots and slide in, but with the 3D pieces on there, it doesn't want to do that now. So let's see if I can convince it. It probably doesn't help that I have these on crooked, but I might be able to kind of chip away at this a little bit. Let's see if I can get that to slide in there. Yeah, it's very, very tight now. There we go. So it goes like that. It's kind of spreading the piece apart, really making it dramatically crooked. So let's get that out of here. And let's see about shaving this down a little bit. File the sides of this down. See, I didn't even test fit it yesterday to see how it would fit, if it would fit. So I'll do a little bit on both sides. And we'll see if this helps at all. Hopefully it does. Okay, let's try that. Shape down just a little bit. Still pretty, still not quite. So let's try a little more. We'll go a little bit of an angle here. Seems to be the problem, is the bottom part. So let's do a bit of an angle. Hey, I caught it. Let's clean this out. Clean out our little channel. Okay, try another test fit. Yeah, I really stressed the plastic. You can see where I stressed it right there, trying to shove it in there with force. Try to force it in, it's not going to work. It's actually bent now a little bit. It is fitting better, but it's still really pushing it out. So we'll keep on filing. We're going to keep filing until it fits. That's basically, well, that's really all we can do, isn't it? We'll keep trying to keep it even on both sides. I'm going to trim away our little slot, our little groove, our little pin here. I'll kind of leave a little remnant of it, but for the most part, get rid of it. That might help. It actually helped a heck of a lot. They were the ones that were really causing the issue. So now it fits in real easily. I just need to make sure it's straight. That ought to do it, just like that. Okay, so I'll put some glue on it and I'll let it set. For a little while. Because now it is loose, the trick is to have it lined up and straight. So this is supposed to really be tight in like that. I want to grab A11 and see how it's supposed to sit on that. So let's find A11. That's this guy here. As you can see, it's got a hole at the top there for that to sit through. Supposed to sit. Kind of all up in there like this. this. All this stuff has to be taken into consideration when you put these 3D parts on there, and how it's all going to fit together later. Because this is a little difficult to hold on to, I'm going to do this. I think I've got it in the spot it's supposed to be. As it appears, it's touching down here at the back. That's good. I'm not sure if this is actually supposed to be up against this flush. I cannot tell by the pictures here. It looks like it would be, and yet it doesn't go in quite all the way. And that's probably due to the fact of the 3D pieces. My instrument panels don't allow it to go all the way up. Although it's close, it's not quite. With a little bit of pressure, I think I can convince it to go up. I got it pretty close. We're just a little crooked now. There we go. I think I got it. They're just now right underneath that. Pretty much. This piece is a little crooked. There we go, we got it. So I'll have to do my detail painting, but I want to let this glue set now. Let that set and be happy in its new home. And I'll put that down there, and we'll just leave it. Okay. Now with that done, now all I got to do is paint that black now. Okay. So with this done, we're going to go back to the beginning. Got this part assembled and painted. I did actually put a little bit of putty on the inside here. I did not like just how much of that seam was showing. I wasn't happy with it, so I did put a little bit of putty in there and resprayed it white, and yeah, so it looks a little better. You might be able to see on the camera if I get the right angle. You might be able to see, but it's hard to tell. Anyway, that's that. Bear with me a moment here. Okay, so with this being done, I want to put in my panel liner like I always do. I painted this with X2 white. Okay, X2 white. Normally I'll paint it with XF2, which is a flat, and then when I do the panel liner, that's this stuff here. When I do that, I have to do a gloss coat first. Otherwise, it's real pain to try and get the panel liner to clean up. But with the X2, it's already gloss. So, in theory, I shouldn't have a problem cleaning the black afterwards. So, I'm just going to do this. And it really does make the detail pop out on everything. And you can really see everything. One thing that is a little unfortunate is the ejection pin mark there. That's a little unfortunate to be able to see that. So I'm just trying to make sure I don't get my panel liner around that, because I don't want to accentuate a round hole that really shouldn't be there at all. Okay. So that's done. So we'll let that dry for a minute as we deal with this. So we got to grab a couple of pieces here. We need to A24 off of our big tree. That's going to be our big long fuselage piece for this guy here. And we need off of our C tree, C8, and we need polycaps. Remember, we got a little bag of polycaps, right? That's these guys here. So let's grab C8. Here's C. So we've got C8 here, so we've got one on each of the C trees. Okay. There. I also realized I did want to get the ejector seat assembled today, so we'll do that after I get this glued together. Okay, first things first, we got to clean up our nubs and make sure this is nice and clean and smooth for when we do assembly. Later on, it's nice that Tamiya put the nubs here on this section and not back further, so you don't have to worry about, you know, plastic being stressed and looking ugly like you do back here. Fortunately, in this spot where the plastic kind of has a little divot in it now, that's probably going to be covered by the rear stabilizer and you're never going to see it. Okay, so let's take a look at these. These are going to go in right here. It looks like they're going to go with the polycap facing out. They're going to go like that. Okay. So let's grab a couple of poly caps. Out of our bag here. 1, 2. Might as well put you back in the bag. Okay. Poly cap just goes into the end of this. That. I've got about 3 minutes and then I'm going to run away real quick. So put this down in that spot there. Okay. Make sure it's down nice and snug. Same thing here. It is a tight fit, so it does kind of just sit on its own, just like that, right? So that's nice. Allows me to get in all of these places with the glue without worrying about it moving around on me. Sometimes it's a bit of an issue. Okay. So, we have this, we have our cockpit, and it's got to go down right on here. We've got 2 big circles underneath, and they go on these first 2. And that's how we're going to line it up. Right like that. It's just going to sit like that. Now this is a little unfortunate. We can see right through the bottom there. Now that's probably going to be covered by the seat. This is not really an issue. But you can see that rectangular spot there. I kind of do just want to paint it just because. Just because. This does not have to be detailed at all. I just want paint on this. There. That's good enough for me. My alarm is about to go off, telling me I've got to go down. I've got to run away real quick.
Moments later.
Okay, so I'm back. Our paint has had time to dry, mostly, in the 2 minutes I was gone. So, let's put some glue here. Glue here. And get him lined up in his new home. There we go. Just like that. And you can see where the shiny paint in the middle there, that's covered up now. That's beautiful. I'm much happier about that. Okay, so we've got these 2 bars. They got to be removed. Okay. Get rid of those. For the most part, these nubs are not going to be seen, but if you leave them, you might wind up with parts not fitting quite right. So you have to make sure you clean them up. Okay. Next we have our landing gear bay is going to go right here. And I call this the front landing gear. This is actually the main gear that's going in the back here like this. These 4 circles go with these 4 pegs on each side, like this, and then we have our bay like that. Okay. But there's something I want to do. I want to touch up the inner wall here and here. That should be white also. Okay, so before I put this in, I want to add a little bit of paint on there and there. And I'll just brush paint it because it's small. I don't need to break out the airbrush for this, just to paint these. I'm never going to see my brush strokes on these. Now this paint is thin, so I might have to do it 2 or 3 times. It looks like it'll be okay. Just want to make sure I get the wall. If I really wanted to be a stickler, I could paint here too, but I don't think it's necessary. I just don't want this gray, you know, it's a little too much of a contrast. I want it white, just like the rest of the landing gear bay. Okay, I'm going to give this, I'm going to paint at least 2 coats on here. I'm going to give this a minute to dry while I clean up this part. Hi Vivid, do you remember me? I used to ask you questions about life. I just want to say that I'm in college now and I'm doing great. Well, good for you, Vivid. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I still hear the planes in the background. Yes, I haven't moved anywhere. I still live near the airport. And of course I'm building an F-16, so it's appropriate that we got planes taking off, right? Okay, so we got to clean this up because that looks pretty gnarly right now. And what I like to do is I use AK's odorless thinner. Okay, it's also, if you get the bigger jar, it's the white spirit. Same stuff, white spirit. Odorless thinner, it's also a white spirit. This is just my dirty one, and that's my clean one, that's all. So what I do is take a Q-tip, dip it in the thinner, get it wet, and then I dry it off, kind of. You don't want it too wet. So dry it off mostly, just run it along there. Dry most of it. And we go along there and we clean it up. Because for the most part, we want it mostly clean, but we don't want it spotless. And if there's little areas that you can't seem to get in with the Q-tip, that's where a brush will come in handy. Like I said, you want to clean most of it up, just not all of it. Bye-bye. I'll visit your stream again soon. Alright, Vivid. Thanks again. Nice to hear from you. Some of these edges are a little bit hard to get at with the Q-tip, but it's not bad. These little hydraulic valves, whatever they're supposed to be, I don't know what they are, and I didn't do any research to see what they could be. Tamiya seems to be, I don't know, Tamiya is kind of the middle of the road, I think, when it comes to landing gear bay detail. I wouldn't, actually no, I wouldn't say middle of the road. They do a good job, but they do seem to also leave a little bit lacking. And I, compared to like Academy seems to really lack in their detail for landing gear bays. But yeah, so I think that looks better. That looks a lot more clean. It's not super clean, but it's not super filthy dirty like it was either. Just enough to make all that detail pop out, and it does look much better. So that's that. Okay, I'm happy with that. One ruined Q-tip later. All right. So now I'm quite happy to glue this in. I think. Let's take a look. Let's put it in here the right way around. Get that fit in there. And have a look. Yeah, see now my little edges are white. They look better. I think I want to put another coat on this side though. I'll just do another coat. I'll do one more. Doesn't hurt to do one more. Get it just a little bit brighter. Just a little more matchy to how it actually is. There we go. I'm gonna have to try and get my butt to the hobby store and buy some paint today. So I need some more of my. I need some more white. I need some more neutral gray, and I also need insignia white. The two main colors that my fuselage is going to be. Doing the Arctic splinter pattern that I will be painting this in. Those are the two colors. These are my three colors I'm going to do. That's what color this plane is going to eventually be. The insignia white, neutral gray, and flat black. But my insignia white is almost empty. So I need to go buy some more. Put some glue on our 4 points. Just like that. And drop her in spot. Give it a nice little tight squeeze. There we go. We are in. And there we have it. There's our main landing gear bay and the rear part of our intake. Which, you know, I probably will never see again. I'll probably never see it again. Okay. Because I'm putting this down kind of on its belly, I want to kind of clamp this down. I don't need any harsh clamping. I just want to make sure it's going to stay together when I put it down on its belly. This part is now done. Okay. Which means we can focus on our upper part of the fuselage. Okay, so let's grab our two main pieces here. We have a sprue all by itself, this guy here. It's nice that Tamiya's put the gates in spots where it's probably never going to be seen, at least for the most part. Almost all of them anyway. I'm going to trim this down a little bit so it fits in my garbage bucket a little better. There we go. Okay, so there's that piece. The only ones I really need to clean up is this. Now this part's definitely, this is where your rear stabilizers are going to go in, so your nub doesn't really, it's not really going to be seen. It just needs to be clean. These other ones, you just need to make sure, again, for fitment's sake, that's the only reason why you're cleaning them up. And that's a pin, so I don't want to get rid of that. That's obviously an alignment pin sticking out there. Don't shave that off if you don't have to, if you can avoid it. Our nubs on the inside, again, just for making sure it's going to fit. You don't want them sticking out like this one. If I left that, that would be a huge issue trying to get it to fit. The ones on this edge, don't have to worry about at all. Okay, move this over here just so it's out of the way. I have to make note of this. We have to make some holes. Okay, we've got different holes that we need to put in the fuselage. If we're doing the A, C, or D version, we need to put a hole here. Okay, that is going to be on this section here. So let's grab this one. That is B1, our big guy here. I want to get these nubs off clean as possible. Utilizing an old trick from doing Gundam kits, or any Bandai kit really. When you take it off the sprue, you trim it back, and you'll leave a big section here. Leave a big section there so you can trim it properly without stressing the plastic. And then you can file it down smooth and have a nice clean edge. So you have a nice clean edge like that. These ones up here, no big deal, those are never going to be seen. Your nose cone's going to go over the front. And the reason why you wanted a nice clean edge is when this goes down like this, on top of here, you want a nice clean straight line. Okay, that is a really tight fit on there. Look at that. It goes together all on its own. Look at all the alignment points that Tamiya has engineered into that to get that to fit down and be almost seamless. Almost seamless. You almost can't tell. I say almost because you can. You can tell even on the camera, you can tell that's just a little bit of a deeper line going along there than the rest of the panel lines. But it's not a big deal at all. Anyway, I'm going to take this off, okay, because we've got to drill some holes. Put this aside just for now. 1.2 millimeter hole is supposed to go right here. Okay, looking at this here, just behind this slot. Tamiya is nice enough to actually put that there. Now it's kind of oval, but I think it's just supposed to be a hole, a round hole sticking up. I don't know what that's all about. What do they want that for? Anyway, looking at that, so we got a 1.2 here, and then on the bottom one we want a 1.2 on this side, but then a 0.5 on that one, on that side. So let's take a look at this. Here we have them. 1.2, that's actually a pretty big hole, and then a really small one, smaller than this bit right there. So the 1.2, that's a big bit. So let's take a look. I'm actually going to use my other, I think this is probably done. I'm going to grab my other pin vise, which has slightly bigger bits. Definitely not that big. That's way too big. Okay, so let's see what I got here. Kind of just line that up. That looks about perfect for that one. Okay, so I'll use that bit. And then I don't have anything that small in this one. I do have even smaller. I've got super tiny little bits. And this won't even grab onto this bit. It's too small, too big. See, that's the problem. You need different pin vices with different chucks in them. Will not fit in that one. That looks like it might work. That there. There. See if that'll grab onto this. Yep, there we go. Okay. So we'll drill our hole here. Now don't put your finger right under there. You do this, so when it goes through, you're just going to stab yourself in the finger. You do want to put your finger close to it to give some rigidity on the plastic, but something like that is what you want to do. Okay? So that when your drill bit goes through, you don't stab your finger. Right? Last thing you want to do is stab your finger. Believe me, I have done that in the past. It doesn't feel good. Now to clean up the little burrs, I just take my knife very lightly, do this, kind of clean that up just that little bit. There we go, we've got a clean hole. There we go, nice clean hole. It's good to have a clean hole. You always want to have your hole clean. Now this one, see, it looks like we just need to go in on this angle, not straight out like that. But that might help. So do that, and then I kind of go straight like this. Kind of just drill. Okay? So we've got a straight up and down hole, but we've got a nasty burr on the outside here that needs to be cleaned. So I'll try and just give it a slight little carve to clean that up. And we've got our hole there. Again, I don't know what this hole is all about. I don't know. But there we go. We've got our hole drilled. Okay. Hole there now. Sticking through there. Okay. And finally we got to deal with our tiny one. Okay. Our tiny little hole. I do have tiny little little pin vise bits that are probably going to work. Whether or not my chuck is small enough to actually grab onto them, that's another story. Okay. I'll grab my smallest chuck here again, which is this one, and I'll grab my tiny bit. That is a tiny little hole. That bit is too big for the hole. So my even smaller bit is the exact size. I don't know if this chuck will actually grab onto it though. Try. No, it won't try. I've got it as tight as it'll go, and it just won't. And no, I can just pull it right out. So, we go option number 2. let me get at my drawer here. I have these. I got these off Amazon, and they are handheld little pin vices, and they get to like almost needle size. It's so small. They're not labeled as to what size they actually are. They have big enough of a shank on them that you could put them in a drill, but it's also got this little thing there so you can do it by hand. That seems to be the perfect size right there. I've never used this one, so it should be as sharp as it can. And we're already through. Just like that. I'm not sure what the purpose of a hole this tiny is. It seems like a almost moot detail. But I will give them kudos. They're able to make a drill bit super tiny like that, and yet it's still sharp and goes through the plastic. Yeah, I think if you go on Amazon, just search for something like tiny pin vise, you'll come up with these. Okay, so again, even though this hole is super tiny, I got a little burr there I need to clean. So just the edge of my knife in that hole, clean it up a little bit. So tiny. I don't think I'm even going to be putting anything in this hole. It's so small. It's just a super minor detail. And that's it. Okay, holes are drilled. Now I'm going to clean up all my bits here before I really continue on with anything. There we go. Okay. So, with that done, I think we are ready to put our back half on. Let's see what we line up with. We don't go all the way to the back. Oh, I kind of just set it on there and it wants to stay in its spot already. So we go along that line. That's going to be flush like that. And that's about it. Okay, discovering a nub right there. That might be an issue with fitment later when I try and put this section of the wing on. So I got to make sure that's clean. I don't have one on this side though. So just do that. Clean that. And I think that's it. Okay. Okay, so we've got our 4 holes here. Those go on these pins. That's part of your alignment there. Okay, these 4 here line up on these 2. And then these pegs line up on these. So I'm going to use this glue on those. Okay. A nice positive nice good firm sitting. Okay. And just to help out a little bit here, clamps are always good to help with your alignment. and to keep things together. Even when they don't want to cooperate. Might have to. No, I might be okay. So I'm going to need my fin now. I'm going to do this kind of in sections as I go along here. I want to get this part done first, and then we'll have to do this part separate, but I'll have to use tape to clean up this seam that's right along here. Okay. For now, let's get the back end nice and secure. Okay. Get that started. Now you can see what I was talking about earlier when I took it off the sprue, and I got this little kind of unsightly little nub right there. It's a little, kind of a bit of a blemish, like a hole, and it's not smooth. That's probably going to be hidden with the rear stabilizer in place. So probably don't have to worry about it. I say probably because I don't know for sure. Okay, so our front wing tips here, I want to get those glued on. And any spot that I see that is actually making contact between the upper and the lower, I want to glue those too. So underneath here I've got some contact. Ideally, this should be squeezed together tight. I could grab a great big clamp and just put it on here like that. I don't know if in the middle, if that's gonna, see, it won't do anything with this. This I'm gonna just have to tape. Unfortunately, with this nature of this, I do have clamps, but a lot of my clamps are they're pre-loaded. And if I try to do this, it might be too much pressure, or it won't even stay. See, it won't even stay on there. If I try to do this with it, that might work. That actually works good for getting in right there. So, sorry, I just did that off camera. So, if I can give that a minute or two to glue and hold, if it'll actually hold. It's kind of neat. It's using this little detail feature that Tamiya's done. We don't have open panels here, but we have them on this side for whatever reason. Tamiya's done that. That's helping me keep this clamp in place while I can glue this. Because normally with the shape of this, the clamp will just slide right off, right? But I'll have to do the similar thing with this side. I might just have to hold it myself. This one I can probably get rid of. It's probably fine now. I think with this taking so long to do, I've kind of run out of time. I'm going to have to let that sit and set. I'll put the front on, and then I'm going to have to call it a day. Okay, so here's our front piece. And that's going to go on like this. So we can line up our holes here and here and here. And set that down. Looks like we would have a guide pin or something that's supposed to go down, but there's nothing inside that actually touches that. So that goes down like this, and then you just line everything up at the front. So I'll put some glue on these 3 points as we put our pins in there. And then for the rest, I'll use the thin glue. Bang, bang, that would be nice. Bang like that. That is overkill for the amount of glue that I need, but that's okay. Squeeze that down nice and tight as you can get it. And we want that lined up. There we go. Okay. That's in. Now what I like to use, I do have these tiny little rubber bands. These kind of guys, little rubber bands. They're great for fuselage halves and getting them to stay together. Because they're not huge, and yet they do have a little bit of pressure on them. And they work pretty good. So it's going to keep my 2 halves together while I put some glue in there. Just like that. Now it looks like I've got a little bit of a nub sticking out right there. It's going to interfere with fitment. It's not bad though. So I'm just going to hold it like this. I'm going to run some glue along that edge. Go. Okay, that's one side. We'll do this side now. Pressing on here, kind of not really hard, just giving it a good firm press to make sure it lines up and it's flush. I don't have alignment issues. That's going to come off of there now. Give me a little bit more room to work. I think we're good. A little bit of a gap right there. I'd like to just clean that up if I can. Just that little bit of a seam. I'm just going to hold on to that. So I'm going to hold on to this, and I'm going to have to end this video here now while I get going. I want to thank you guys for watching. Thanks for coming out. I want to thank you for all the support. You guys are great. Down in the description box below, you're going to see some links to my Twitch channel and particularly my Instagram. I did just finish uploading the latest pictures of my Dodge Charger on my Instagram, so you can check those out. Every time I finish a project, I take a few pictures of it and I upload it onto my Instagram page. So you can check those out if you feel like it. And if you feel like it, also head over to my Twitch channel. On my Twitch channel, you can watch me live if you follow me, and you can talk to me while I'm doing this stuff, whatever you feel like. It's really up to you guys. Anyway, appreciate it if you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. You guys are awesome. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you all on the next one.